Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast with three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, canceled schools. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
It's a new day.
It is. That's true. But okay.
New day. At the end of that day,
I was gonna say it's at this point, listeners. Just so you know, it's 7:30 in the evening. So the fact that this is a new day, slightly misleading. Unless you're listening to this first thing Monday morning, then good morning and welcome to a wonderful new day. Yeah, look at there.
Here comes Coach Funk. Put all the
Blam blam.
together. So there he is. There's the man of the hour.
Ahoy, Aaron.
Hello.
Yeah.
I am here somewhere.
There you go. Are you forecast to get 7,000 inches of ice as well, or no?
Oh, we're already virtual tomorrow, so
There we go.
Wow.
they went ahead and told us like, yeah, just go ahead and get stuff online. I was like, all right, sweet. So yes, it is projected to sleet and ice like crazy. Tomorrow, like midday.
Yeah, us too.
I had a lot of stuff planned and like early morning bullpen work, and a lot of the kids were like, we're not gonna have school tomorrow. And I was like, guys, that's ridiculous. And then I get an email, and then they come over the intercom. I'm like, oh, whoops.
Oh, coming over the intercom is a bit strong. That's a bit much.
Well, my school is really bad at communicating, and I didn't know we didn't have school last time until one of my players put in the group chat, and then I looked onto our little annoying app thing, and it was like, oh, hey, by the way, we're not going to school tomorrow. So I was a little.
You say, yeah, that's a good reason to be annoyed, not knowing. We haven't got any official word yet about that, but we are like, we have that. Well, I talked about it before, so I'm not going to rehash that, but we have those like packet things to work on. We made a bunch of packet things to work on, so if they're out, so the email I got said, hey, make sure that they have them for the next 3 days just in case.
Oh no.
So like I was like, hey guys, remember to download that if you haven't. I'm going to send them out one at a time, but if you don't have internet at your house, download it now.
Right.
Okay, go. Like,
Yeah.
and some of them did. So it's like, just in case, they said it will be one a day for 3 days. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows if we need all of them? But be prepared for the possibility that maybe. So yeah, I the custodian guy that does my room today. He's pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
I like him. I talk to him all the time. His son used to go there, right? And so like he knows Susan and everything. There, he knows her he's known her for forever. So he comes by my room and talks all the time. Oh, what's up? So he was telling me today, yeah, I saw on the news at noon that south of Harrison, Arkansas is forecasted to get 1 inch of ice.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, oh no, that's terrible.
Oh no.
Yeah.
oh wow.
So Arkansas looking not great for tomorrow.
That's insane.
Yeah, I was like,
What?
no. He was like, we're forecast. I can't remember what he said. It's like we're forecasting it somewhere between like a 1/10 and like a 1/4 inch or whatever. And I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's okay. And
enough.
we don't need anything more than a 1/4 because then power starts going out.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah. That's perfect.
and like 1/4 is starting to push it, right?
Sure.
That's starting to get a little bit heavy on the old power lines. No, I can't imagine an inch. Goodness gracious.
That is,
Yeah, well, you won't have power forever.
I can't even imagine.
No,
That. Like,
that's awful.
Ice, literally.
I don't want that. We're supposed to get a bunch of sleet,
Ugh.
which is not really better. So it keeps going between like sleet, snow, sleet. We don't like, that's what the forecast keeps bouncing to between. Like sleet's not really great because that can freeze, you know?
Well, because the overnight temperatures tomorrow are not supposed to be favorable.
Dude,
No.
daytime temperatures tomorrow are going to be 23 degrees.
Yeah.
So I don't even know, like, not like no temperatures tomorrow are going to be favorable, right? It's only 20 right now. So like,
Oh,
it's not looking great. Yeah, high tomorrow, 23. For reference, listeners, the high Monday, what is today? Tuesday, right? Is today Tuesday? Yes, it is Tuesday. It's Super Tuesday. Of course, that's why I wore my bow tie to work today. What a dork. Yesterday, it was 68 degrees outside.
oh. Yeah.
Today,
I know.
it was like not that.
It was not exactly
It didn't get as warm as they thought it was going to today.
by a lot.
By quite
By
a bit. Like 15 degrees
in
or more.
immense amount. I woke up this morning and I was like, it like this morning it was still saying like we're going to reach 60. I was like, sweet. No.
No, we only got to like 40 something.
Oh, we got to 22.
I mean, we got to when I say 40, like that was like this morning.
Yeah.
And it just went down from there.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. I was just like, this is really bad.
Yeah.
So,
It was a little chilly. So that doesn't look good for icing situation. So we hope we get that not on
thankfully,
there.
we're supposed to not have any of that, but except for it starts tomorrow night into Thursday.
Yeah.
So that's what we're supposed to get.
It's forecasted here to start at like 10. So like, well, I don't know. Nobody's talked about school yet because like it's supposed to be such a weird time.
Uh-huh.
But what I really hate and what has happened before, and it's literally the worst thing ever, is we get to school and it starts like sleeting and icing like crazy. And they're like, oh snap, we got to go home now. We're like, but wait.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be in that position.
Yeah, because then you have to like emergency feed the kids
and run
before you send them home, right? Because we have to. We can't just like, bye, get out. Like we have to give them all lunch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, basically, it doesn't even count as an actual day of school, right? So, like, we have to do that. So, we'll see. I don't know. The timing is going to be really terrible tomorrow, so it's going to be a mystery about what happens. It's all right. I got my test done today, so it's fine. We did our quiz today. Kablam. So that timing worked out finally. So that was good. Got that all taken care of. So whatever we need to start, we can start it whenever. It's fine.
Yeah. We ran away last week while it was blizzarding. And then I was like, well, looks like we get to still experience it. Hooray.
See, it didn't want you to miss out. It was like, oh man, Collin missed out on all the coldness. Let's bring it back. Thanks a lot.
Oh, so sorry.
It's all good. I want to know, listeners, Collin went to a pet sitter convention where he apparently is famous. I want to know your reaction to the first time. I want to know what your face looked like when someone came up and asked you if they could take a picture with you.
Mortified. Absolutely mortified. I mean, yeah. So, listeners, my wife and I are pet sitters. We may have talked about the podcast.
Oh, only like 700,000 times.
We also have a podcast for pet sitters, and it is mildly famous in the pet sitting world.
Apparently.
is very, very, people really like it. So, we went to a pet sitting conference and ended up with people asking us to take pictures of them, which was terrifying. And they came up to us and they were like, we walked in, and this is the other weird fact is that I have been friends with a good chunk of these people for like 2 to 3 years on Facebook. And so all of a sudden, like little Facebook icons were becoming people. So that was another thing. But it really freaked me out when I walked in and I didn't even introduce myself to the check-in. They just said, "Oh, hi, Colin. Hi, Megan. Here are your badges."
Yo, what?
Like,
That's
oh no.
Bam. Got him. Look at that.
And then, the first time someone came up, she's a younger lady and very new to pet sitting and from California, and came up and she said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's you guys." And I was like,
I'm a celebrity, dang.
And she was like,
look at that. Aaron, we got to step our game up over here. We got to make Colin uncomfortable on 2 podcasts.
I know.
It's important.
And she was like, can I take a picture? And we were like, sure. And then her friend stepped over and she was like, "Oh yeah, you too." So like it was like back-to-back photos with these people. And then people kept coming up to us and saying like, "Thank you so much for doing the podcast." And I feel like I know you guys so much and you have no idea who I am. And I was like, that is true. I don't even know your name. I'm sorry, who are you? So that was also really weird because people have been literally listening to us for like 3 years, right?
I mean, that's true.
And they know us, I or at least the podcast. And so that was so wild. And people were just like, so I tried to deflect quite a lot. There was a lot of deflection from the and obviously focusing on trying to focus on them and have them tell me their story. And one of the people we talked to
since you're like, you already know mine because you listened to it.
I know,
so
right?
I want to know.
Just like, let me talk to you about you. And one of the ladies basically was like, I find it so helpful when you ask questions because I try and figure out how I would answer them. And I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Next level.
So
that lady's awesome.
Yeah, she was like, when you ask for the interview, when you ask questions, like I try and really think about how I would do that, and I write it all down, do all this stuff. And I was just like, oh, okay.
I need that lady to talk to my 6th graders a little bit because like we need to get to that level. That's where we're at right now. That's what we.
So it was really nice, and people kept coming up, and they were like, "So how do you get interviewed for your podcast?" And I was like, "You ask." They were like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah."
There's a list, but like,
and they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Sweet, send me an email."
Yeah.
And then
there's a big list, but like, it's not like sequential order, it's just
like, seriously, like, oh, come on, like whatever. So it was that was weird, and I mean, no, it was a whirlwind. I gave a talk. My talk was on imposter syndrome and
you're welcome, by the way.
Good stuff. Imposter syndrome and value, about like self-worth and self-value. And it was I'm really proud of the talk. I'm really, it needs to be talked more about in the industry specifically.
I think in any industry that is a subject that is important to discuss, right? Like,
well, and I am going to say I think it's important for non-traditional industries or
service industries, especially, right?
Service industries, non-career path industries.
Yeah.
My big takeaway was like every single one of us came from somewhere else, right? Like we are all outsiders with our own backgrounds that are now here. And that's what leads to a lot of these feelings of being alone, and is one of the missions of the podcast is to help get rid of that, is help cut through that. And we talked about self-worth a lot during the talk. And I did, I know people really struggle with that, and it can lead to some serious, people struggle with mental health and feeling that and feeling heard. So, I did give out the crisis hotline phone number. And because I want people to have that resource of like, look, here are some ways that we can address this. But if you really need to talk to somebody, like not you, go ahead and write this number down for your friend. Not you, obviously, but for your friend.
Yes,
go ahead
clearly.
and write it down, right? Like trying to help them, give them like, here's your permission to write it down so you don't feel singled out. This is for your friend. And and afterwards, and the other big thing in the industry is that I'm just very passionate about this, but there are the people who are just starting out and they're on apps like, I don't know if you've heard of Rover and Wag or other listing services. Those people are looked down on like they're scum of the earth by many quote unquote independent pet care professional businesses. And it really makes me angry, like genuinely. And so I talked about like how to like stop comparing yourself of like confidence over credentials, competence over credentials, and like kind of pushing back on a lot of these things that people do to try and puff themselves up or make them feel better. And they compare themselves to other people based on all this stuff. And basically being like, we all started somewhere. 20 years ago, somebody started out. Obviously, they weren't on Rover and Wag. They were in the newspaper. Now that's just where people start. And we as an industry have to be willing to accept them and bring them into the fold and reach out to them.
Yeah, because like
the talk.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. What'd you say?
No, I was just saying, like, it's really strange that there's still that like pushback because, well, I mean, not strange, I guess, because I think that online kind of like the gig culture, right? Because like if you are like a graphic designer, that's where you live in that space, right? You part of your job or part of your income comes from like freelancing through online services. Like, oh, hey, I list myself here for I can do this service for you. And like, that's where people find you. And so that is a reality. I think even though that's like a really big thing, I think a lot of people still just like don't get it.
No, they don't.
Like
they look down on it, and they basically say
it's weird though, because like if you're, let's say you're like, oh, you just need like a side gig as like a proofreader. You're on one of these services. Like, why is that?
Oh, I know.
It's not bad. Like that's cool that you can, bring yourself out and bring your talents and skills to new people that need your help, right? And like you get hooked up with people that way. Like it confuses me because that's the culture that we live in now. That like that's like the internet is a thing, guys. Like I don't know where you've been, but like it's not like AOL anymore. It's not just chat rooms and stupid forums. Like I mean, there's still forums, but like there's more. And so like the pushback that certain industries have against like the online culture it's weird to me. Like I don't get it, and I'm not even a person that's like online in that space, but like I get that that's an important thing and a good place to have services, right? Or just anything.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. Like it's when people are like, let me just test the waters. They sign up for one of these apps and they go, let's see. When they are looking for an opportunity to earn a little bit of extra money, they sign up on these apps because it's gig. And that's what independent professionals who are in this. I mean, I asked everybody. I said before I even started my talk, I said, hey, by show of hands, who's been in this industry almost 30 years? And a quarter or more of the room raised their hand. And then I said, who started your business within the last 5? And only like 2 or 3 hands went up. And I think that's also important to note. Of like what crowd you're listening to. Old people go to conferences. Just be very real.
I mean, yeah. I hate conferences. I'm an old person now, and I hate conferences.
Well,
they're terrible.
I'll say this. Plus, they have an established business where they can leave and go to conferences.
Oh, true. Yeah, I didn't think about that. people that are like just starting out don't have the ability to.
They don't have the income. They don't have the revenue. They don't have the flexibility.
They don't have the flexibility. They can't afford to leave.
Exactly. So it's important to note of like anytime you're listening to somebody or a group of people, you have to understand their background and where they're coming from and why the majority of voices there are there. And so that's part of the thing that I push back on is you have these people who've been in the industry for 30 years and they go, well, I do all these things. And you're like, yeah, this person just started out yesterday. They're not doing your things, right? Like,
yeah,
like, come on. And people are coming into the industry by drove through these apps, and instead of being there, going, hey, welcome. Here's some stuff to learn, and I would love to mentor you. They basically just trash talk down to them and say, you're doing it wrong. You are not as good as we are. And you are trashing our name. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, no wonder they don't come and talk to you.
Yeah.
No wonder.
Do you think it's because it's like a fear of competition thing?
Oh, 100%.
Partly.
It is.
Right.
It is. And one lady actually said she feels like when Rover and Wag started 10 years ago, it cheapened the pet care industry. And because it made it something like, quote unquote, everybody can do now. Anybody can sign up.
But anybody can do that.
Anybody can. And that's the thing that Megan and I are constantly like, you could go out and literally anybody can start this. It takes exactly $0. Exactly $0. And no training to do any of this.
And the weird part is, a weird part from my outsider perspective, right? The weird thing about this to me as a person on the outside is that you're like hyper competitive and like really obsessive about an industry that a huge chunk of people don't even know exists.
I know.
Right? Like the fact that I bet if you polled a room of like 100 people that were like, hey, did you know that you can hire a person to come to your house and watch your dog? They'd be like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Hire a person with training and education and with insurance that's bonded. Exactly.
Like you can hire a professional person to come and take care of your pet when you're out of town. They'd be like, really?
Yeah, no.
I didn't know that. So like the fact that as these websites bring awareness to consumers that are like, yo, that's a thing I can do. Like the market share is only growing. So the fact that more people are getting involved in it is not really a detriment to you at all, because as more people are coming into the market itself is only skyrocketing because people don't even know it's a thing that you can do.
Yeah. The problem that they will point to is they will go, well, these new people on the app charge $11 for a visit, and I have to charge, $30 to make ends meet and pay stuff. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't know.
But like,
to tell you.
If you have like a client list already, like it's not like if you have like, let's say I'm booked you to sit my pet, like regularly, right? We have like a thing going, right? Once that relation, like in an industry like this, like a service industry, and especially people that like really care about their pets, I'm not going to be like, oh man, that person cost me like a little bit less money. I should just dump this person and go use them. Right. It's like, nah, it's because the person that's charging like $11 is the person that's like already working like 2 jobs. And this is just like a random thing they're doing every once in a while. And they're probably not going to be that reliable. And they'll slowly realize that they have to raise their prices if they really get more competitive and like take it more seriously. So like, it's not a worry because the market will weed that out.
Well, and that's
what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's where also some of this partnering and mentoring comes in of like,
nobody studies economics. Dang it. Right.
And like, or just like, hey, instead of complaining about it, why don't you reach out to that person and explain to them that they could charge more and how you can do that? X, Y, Z, do these things, build them up, lift them up, educate.
Well, and that comes with the self-value part, because if you're like undervaluing yourself, you're also going to undervalue your service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Because you think, oh, I'm not worth that much. I can't charge that much. Like,
Exactly.
except for no, you can because you are valuable and your time is valuable. So you should be able to charge more for your time. Right. Like, that's the thing. Like,
yeah. Well, and we started, and I kind of walked through a lot of that. And then also I just kind of like, for a few minutes, I just stripped away all of everything else and was just like, look, I don't know. And I feel like this because I see this all the time on Facebook, especially with younger people entering the industry where they really struggle with who they are. And they try and add things to themselves that maybe they don't want to, but they think it's going to be important. And so I did take a moment where I was just like, look, I don't know if you've ever been told this, or maybe it's been a while, but like, you are valuable. Like, you are important and you are needed. Not your services are valuable. Not your dog walking is important. Not your business is needed. Like, just you as a person. And that's really hard to accept of like, I need to be okay with just me before I start adding other things, because we add things because it makes it feel like we need to, because we need to be more valuable. But I am is a complete sentence. I don't need to add anything. That was the title of my talk, actually. I am.
Nice.
Good
job. And, again, the Descartes reference, man. Aaron, we got to charge him for this. This is good stuff.
But like
just put us in your credits and your like notes. Be like, oh,
yeah.
Right.
Like I am. Like, it's a complete sentence. You don't need to add anything else to it. It doesn't make you any more or less. Like, because in the middle of the pandemic, other thing, this talk is, there's so much more to this, but it was also born out of the middle of the pandemic. Over the course of 72 hours, pet sitters stopped being pet sitters. Dog walkers stopped walking dog. And we had built a lot of our identity in the doing instead of the being. And we stopped seeing value in ourselves. And so I asked everybody that question. I said, in the middle of the pandemic, when your business was shut down in your third month, were you any less valuable as a person? Did you mean anything less to the people in your life? No, right? The answer is no.
Yeah. The answer should be no.
It should be no,
right.
But it sure didn't feel like it, right? Like it.
No.
Because society has taught us to confuse I am with I do, and to put the ladder of higher importance over the former.
Yes, and
man, that really, when you start really like drilling down into that, you start figuring out like what are my motivations behind a lot of my actions. And so we talked through like, some of my personal examples of like, anytime something comes up in your life, ask, why did you do that? And more importantly, what does that what does that tell me about myself? So like, Collin didn't respond to an email for 5 months. Why? He didn't want to tell the person no. What does that tell me about me?
Yeah.
I'm a people pleaser and don't like to make people sad. So I just deleted the email instead of ever responding. Right? Like,
well, I mean, there you
go. Anyway, after the talk, a lady did stand up. She's a younger lady, and she gave me this huge hug, and she was crying, and she said, I needed to hear that so much. Thank you. Obviously I started crying. That was good.
Clearly.
But no, it got a good reception, and very thankful for that opportunity. So we'll see. I had one lady, another person come up to me and ask if I wanted to go and speak at another conference or something. So we'll see what happens.
They're like, we'll just add that to my my LinkedIn thing, right? Pet sitter conference speaker. What do they call keynote speaker? Right, there you go.
Right. No, and it was also weird because I was weirdly positioned because I was the second talk of the day, and the first talk was by a veterinarian about Chagas disease.
Oh, that's a tonal shift.
And then right after me was a lady talking about like how to use Instagram.
Boom. Like important medical information, heavy topic. fun marketing. Yeah, like
Exactly.
dang guys, you gotta get this schedule worked out.
And it was really funny because they were like, "Oh, presenters, can you send us your slides ahead of time? Because we're going to print them out. We're going to put them in a book." And I was like, I'm not doing that. Because I don't put words on my slides.
Yeah, no,
at all. Like seriously, like I had 14 slides, and it took me an hour to present, and there were no words, typed words.
This is how presentations are supposed to work. People
supposed to work.
take a thing, right? This is how it goes.
And so
you don't want to read off of your slides to your audience. Your audience is smart enough to read your slides.
I'm not going to name any names there. But there was
literally every school presentation I've ever been in, every building administrator I've ever met does not believe that I am intelligent enough to read what they put. Now, sometimes I can't read it because they would fail my class in presenting because they'll put like some stupid background and like a weird color, and you're like squinting at the screen going, I cannot read that. What are you doing? Like they make their font like teal, and then like a green background. You're going, what? Why? Why did you do that? You would get an F in my class for presenting. Why? Yeah. I would mark you down on my rubric for that.
Yeah, they used to tell us to estimate the oldest person in the room and make the font that size. And
I tell my kids like high contrast font. Right? We talk about like how you can highlight the background so you can make it stand out from your picture.
Yeah.
We need to make it readable, right? These are the secondary skills that we're teaching in class here. This is important stuff.
All very important. But what I do most of the time is I go to I now go to photo sites. Like one of them I really like is called Unsplash, and one is called Pixel, whatever. They're free photo, right? You can down free photos without having to attribute. And I just search a phrase of like one of the things I searched was medical, right? Because I want the photo to evoke an emotion, a topic that I'm covering on that slide.
Yeah.
And that's how I put my slide together. What would evoke an emotion of kind of like the general point of this segment of the talk? And that's what I want to have up there. My
notes in class do that too sometimes, right? Yeah. It's not like like my notes, like when we take notes and we're like doing our little lecture time or whatever, it's like I'll have slides, like my slideshow things, they're like a billion slides long, but that's because a lot of them are like pictures. We'll write down a little bit and there'll be a whole bunch of pictures. There'll be stuff, right? Like they'll talk about things and we just like flip through and like, yeah, I agree the same way. It's like, it's very, because we don't want to, and I mean, because I'm teaching, so it's tangentially related, right? Like the information that I need you to have is not necessarily coming from the slide, right? It's coming from me. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
So in like notes in class, I'm like, oh, here's the important thing. Write this down. And then we're just going to like talk about what this means.
Exactly. Now, I'm not going to say any names here. But there was one presenter who is a very well-known person, and read word for word all of them, even though sometimes the slide would just have like 3 words. Would read all of them and would not do any elaboration and just read through them entire. And it is so painful and a waste of my time. Oh my gosh. It was really hard for me to do that. But anyway, conference is fine. Sorry, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. The conference is fine. New Braunfels, very interesting town. We stayed in the Faust Hotel, which is a very old hotel that apparently is haunted.
I was gonna say, with a name like Faust, I'd be a little like, oh wait, hold on.
Yes, it was apparently from the 1920. Oh, it was opened up in 1929. Is when it originally started, And they still have the original cash register sitting at the front desk.
Dude, that's crazy.
And when I say sitting, I mean taking up the entirety of the front desk.
I mean, yeah, being the counter.
But no, it was very interesting. Enjoyed New Braunfels quite a bit. It was a very long drive. Very long.
Yeah.
But it was made easier.
European viewers, it's about 3 countries away from where Collin lives. If we put it to scale, from Collin's house to the middle of Texas.
Yeah. Well,
it's about 3 countries away.
Go to College Station first. We had to drive due
south,
true. Basically. You had to go to Dallas, then to College Station, and then over to New Braunfels. So all told, it was 1,770 miles round trip.
Yuck.
It was gross. But it was made easier because we drove a van. I was very happy. We drove a 2001 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid.
Wow, there we go. The Pacifica makes a return in the lives of the Funkhausers. Look at that.
It does indeed. This thing was sweet. Okay. Be very real.
Aaron, I like to imagine that he was just like buying stuff to like try to pack it in there. Like, oh, can I fit it? I can fit this in here.
At first Megan was like, we're not renting a minivan. And I was like,
yes, we
are. $1 per cargo space? Like, it's literally the best buy. I'm not buying a...
I'm surprised you didn't go, all right, Megan, full-size van it is. Blam, got it.
A Mercedes Sprinter.
Yeah.
Lux. But this thing, like...
Just bolt the kid seats to the floor in the back and the great thing. Be like, got it, let's go.
It's little things. Like, most cars have USB connectors in the center, on the back of the center console for the people in the back seat.
Yeah.
But Chrysler puts those in the back of the seat in front of you.
That's good job, Chrysler.
I know, because
that's very helpful.
It actually reaches.
Yeah. You have to like lean awkwardly.
Yeah. So like when we let the kids watch some stuff, Noah obviously chose Thomas the Tank Engine, the original.
Clearly. With Ringo?
Yeah, with Ringo. Yeah. I have all of that, obviously.
Fun fact, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not know, there's a television show called it's Shining Time Station, right?
Yeah.
With a magical train cartoon, and the little magical conductor is definitely Ringo Starr from the Beatles. Also, I think in couple seasons, it's also George Carlin, weirdly, which doesn't seem like a good fit. George Carlin on a children's show, but it's surprisingly good.
Is no bueno. No. So we watched those, which was good. And then Lillian did watch Kiki's Delivery Service.
Yeah, that a kid.
All of it. In Japanese with subtitles.
All right.
So she is like way awesome now.
I feel like we need another challenge coming on. We need more Japanese challenges coming on, Aaron. Be thinking about that.
So. But this thing, over the course of 1,700 miles, this thing averaged almost 34 miles to the gallon.
Yo.
Which is a lot. Okay.
Especially for a van.
For a van. And I didn't even have to, it's a plug-in hybrid too. I didn't get a chance to charge it. That was my one thing that I was like, I really wanted to do. And Megan was like, we don't have time. Drive. And I was like, no, I want to charge it. It'll be fun. Like,
I want to plug in the car.
So, but I was seriously blown away by this thing. It was like driving a spaceship. There was like blue stitching everywhere, and like it was just I loved it. I really love this thing a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. So trip made better by fan. The one thing that I will say is Chrysler is all about the turn dial shifting thing.
Yeah, no, our car has that, and it's really kind of weird. I'm always like super freaked out that I'm going to grab that instead of like the radio dial or something.
I hate this. I hate this with a burning passion. I never got used to it. I consistently messed up. And there was one time where I had to do a quick like whip in and then turn around. And I don't know what I did, but I found myself half in a driveway, half in the middle of the road, and the car put itself in a parking brake just automatically. And
you probably tried to flick it while it was still moving, and it like freaked out and went no.
So Mel, I had to move quickly, and so it was just like, this is not good. This is the dial. It's cool. Ooh, it's magic. Whatever. It's not. To me, it was just like, it takes so long to get used to this that it actually impedes the driving. So I don't know. I mean, you guys have had the car for a couple of years at this point, ladies.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's second nature by now.
Yeah, by now, yeah. It's definitely different if you were just like renting a car that has that. It is a feature that you're right. At the beginning, you're like, this is really odd. It like doesn't feel like tactily as stable as like moving a shifter to a thing. But I know like in the version of, because one of my friends used to have a car like ours, the version before with it had the sticky thing in there, and like it was just in the way. It was like badly put in there, so I can see why they went to it. It's very space savvy, right?
It is, yeah. It also, from somebody like me who kind of have like obsessive thoughts sometimes, all I wanted to do was turn the dial while driving 75 miles an hour down the road. Like, that was sometimes the only thing my brain could focus on, was like, I'm afflicted with something and this thing looks like it spins. I'm going 80 miles an hour. What would happen if I just turned it? Like, will it turn?
I don't know. I've never tried it. Because for obvious reasons, because I don't want my transmission to end up on the highway. So I don't.
Yeah, I didn't either. But that was at some points the only thing I could think about.
Yeah, I don't know if it will do that.
But it drives super quiet. Like, we're going 90 through Dallas at a couple points to get around crap, and like, no problem.
You mean totally driving the speed limit 100% of the time?
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Always the speed limit.
Yes.
That's the other thing. It doesn't have a rev counter. Instead, it has power output by percentage.
Oh, interesting. So your obsessive personality was also like 100%. Let's go.
I never got to 100%, which was
thank you. That's good. Safety first.
But there were a few times where it was like, oh, we got to get up and go. And it seamlessly switches between, like, right now we have a Honda Accord Hybrid, and it does not seamlessly switch between battery and engine, because it's also 2000. It's
older though,
now, right?
Yeah,
so it's really obvious. This thing, like, you could not tell when what was running, except whenever you really punched it, and then you could hear the engine. But like, no vibrations. When you were going really low speed, you could tell it was all electric, because it just had that like that really like that it had that going.
Weird noise.
That weird hum. But otherwise it was great. So highly recommend Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid.
Yeah, I like ours too. It's really nice. It's kind of a weird, like, Susan doesn't like it. The car, it's a Chrysler 200, by the way. I just remembered what it's called. Like, because it's kind of like, she doesn't like that she can't, like, the front's very round. So like the fact that she like can't see, like, she has a trouble like telling where the front end is sometimes.
Sure.
That kind of like messes her up. But other than that, I like it a lot. It's really nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was just like, I obviously would never actually want to own one, a minivan, that is. But like, kind of the way to go.
We know you're all full-size man, boy. It's okay.
Only full-size. Don't want anything mini. Yeah, it was just like, okay, this is pretty cool. I like all the technology. Everything feels nice, robust. It only had 9,000, 8,000 miles on it when we first got it. So
nice.
Basically brand new.
That's cool.
Anyway, that's that review.
Van Review Corner with
Van
Collin.
Review Corner.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. But
Get a little stinger to put in there.
Yeah. And yeah. So that's all we got going on.
It's quite a lot.
Back in the swing of things this week.
To be
already.
fair.
Yeah. No, I immediately had to take over all of I had to give my staff a break today because he did not get a break for the past week. So
yeah.
So it was like, don't do anything today. Stay home. I'll do it all.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. But Aaron, what have you been up to?
Not really a whole lot. This week has been just school, baseball and softball games start next week. Warhammer 3 finally came out, which I'm currently playing now. So
nice.
Not gonna lie, have been zoning out because I have been waiting for this game for 3 years and nothing is going to back from it.
Yeah.
But
you and Henry Cavill both, I hear. So you're good to go.
Man. But other than that, things have been going really good. Really chill week. To say the least, except for weather pending. But
yeah.
Doing a lot of work, softball field wise, baseball field wise, doing a lot of things that the kids are like, "Oh, we've never had to do this before." And you're like, "Oh, really?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've never had through coaches before, so we didn't know what we were doing." And they're like, "Oh, well, you are welcome." So so we've been doing a lot of that, a lot of developmental stuff, a lot of things, and then that's kind of honestly about it. This week's just been really, really chill. Last week was very chill. It was really nice, for a good chunk of the week. So that was very, very unique and very rare for us. And then yesterday was perfect 60s and all these kind of things. They're like, "Oh man, this is perfect," and then it's and it's 20. So, but yeah, other than that, man, that's all we've been doing. Not really a whole heap of a lot. Kind of survive and stay warm and do what we can.
Nice. What kind of things are they doing with the field that they never had to do anything? Just upkeep stuff, actual field maintenance, sweeping the dugout. I don't know.
Field maintenance is a really big thing. Our dirt is super soft, and so they're like, "Yeah, we don't know what to do with it." And I was like, "Really? You guys have no idea what to do?" And they're like, "Yeah, we've never done this before." And I was like, "You know how to use the equipment?" They're like, "No." All right, so I literally showed them how to drag a field properly, showed them proper level of mowing, which is weirdly complicated for some kids, and kind of this, that, and the other. So it's a lot of utilizing the dirt that you have, utilizing ways to turn it, and so that way it's not just rock solid, so you don't so if you do fall on it, it's not "Oh, and now I have rocks in the face" or things like that. So it's a little bit of everything, showing kids how to make it not just not disgusting, and how to just move some things around, and actually how to properly drag the field. So little things like that the kids are like, "Yeah, we've never had to do this before." I'm like, "Really? All right." That makes me feel good. But
nice.
Yeah, it's a weird science to get behind and actually have to teach kids how to do. Most of them have never had the wonderfulness of having to mow, which is also a weird thing. So you guys have never mow before? And I'm like, "Yeah, we've never had to get on a tractor and mow the field." Oh, you guys are missing out. So
I don't know about
just
that.
little things like that. Yeah,
it is always a really weird realization when you discover things that people don't know how to do. Right?
Yeah,
it's one of those things as a teacher, I'm very actively aware of "Oh, you've never done this before." I can't assume that you know what I'm talking about. Even things like sending an email or like titling your presentation correctly. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these like weird little things that you just do, and like you would just assume that a child knows how to do them because you're like, oh, you know, kids get the rap of like, oh, they know how to use electronics, blah blah. Yeah, but do they know how to use them correctly? No.
Yeah.
So like, we have to talk about these. It's always like kind of surprising, and I'm always trying to be on the lookout for these things. Like, oh, I need to make sure I tell them how to do this or show them, because like I cannot assume that they know what I'm talking about when I do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a weird little concept, because you're like, oh yeah, you guys know how to read a map, and they're like, nope. Like, oh
yeah, like
do all the technology stuff. Like, yeah, we don't know what that means. Like, oh really?
Yeah.
So, little things like that I take for granted. I'm like, oh, I literally have to teach this. That's right.
Yeah, it's those weird like little things you have to do on the side. Like it's very bizarre. Like, oh, you don't know how to, like, for the first quarter of school, they would be like, Mr. Funkhauser, I don't know what to title this presentation. And I'd just look at them and be like, okay, so you're gonna title a presentation about your dream vacation. What do you think a good title would be? And they'd just stare blankly at me. And they'd be like, dream vacation? I'm like, aha! Wonderful. Ta-da. And they're just like, oh, like it took them a long time. So where's the last presentation we did? I told them I was very proud of them because we did the air pressure demonstration things. And like, they were all titled things like, can crushing demo, or like, you know, whatever their thing was, like balloon rocket demo. I was like, guys, this is beautiful, so good. Like, you've come a long way. I didn't even tell you. I didn't even tell them what to do, and they figured it out. It's the little things, right? You wouldn't think that that's a big deal, but like, if you're going to create a presentation and then share it with somebody, you need to title it something that makes sense, right? Like, again, that's the joke in my class. We have to think like a scientist. What would a scientist name a presentation about an air pressure demonstration? They would just name it air pressure demonstration. Boom. Simple, easy. Go for it. Like, not. Well. Don't overthink this, guys. Like, if you're going to give it to me in an email and I'm going to open it, I need to know exactly what it is, right? Like, I need to know that. And so you just have to give me the information I need. Boom. That's it. Done.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
and
Collin.
I did talk about that actually in my talk of like the expectations we place on ourselves of like, I should know this. This should be, I run the business. I started doing this business. I should have all this figured out. And I said, well, no, like my brother says when he's teaching kids, like, yeah, I know you don't know this. That's why we're learning this together. Like, that's what my job is to teach you these things. Because like, we all, again, we all start somewhere, and it's okay that you don't know it. Like, that's why it's good that you're here, because now we can work through this together, and that's really where that difference is.
Yeah, they get it after a while, right? Yeah. It's very confusing. I feel like sometimes, like, I feel weird because I feel like I'm the first person that's told them that ever, and they're 12.
That.
So that's a little bit distressful, right? Like, like, you're hearing this for the first time when you're 12 years old. That's okay. I know it's like the middle school thing, right? So it's like, it's different and, a little bit, but I do like kind of go, oh man, we could be so much further along if other people were telling you this.
Well, you get reinforcement, from people.
I mean, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, it does. but we can't be worried about that. We got to worry about test scores and spreadsheets, bro. Yeah, grumpy people, idiots. Anyway, but yeah, it's just always interesting, like the little things that we don't know, we take for granted, like the field thing, because I wouldn't know how to do that, but I haven't played baseball in like 20 some years, so like
I have no idea what
more than that, 25 probably. So like it makes sense, but like as somebody who's an active person, it's weird that you just be like, oh yeah, well, you just do this to the field. You're like, what?
Oh no, it's just kind of one of those things, like the sheer fact that no one has taken the time to show them, because like I literally had to drag the tractor over and kind of set it up, and I had like a gaggle of teenagers. They're like, what are you doing? I was like, what? What do you mean? What am I doing? And I was like, I'm trying to set this up and do this way. And so I go one way and I'd come across the other way, and they're like, why'd you go that way? I'm like, you guys not know how to do this? And they're like, no one's ever showed us. I'm like, oh well. And kind of giving them the point of like, whenever you guys become coaches one day, like, this is how you would need to do this, and this is how, this is the reason behind it. Of you just do this, and that's the end of it. There's more to it than just like, oh, like, didn't you know how to do this? Duh. People like, I've never seen this kind of drag before. So kind of come up with those ways to have kids, feel validated and be like, look, like, it's okay that you don't know how to do this before. This is why we're taking the time now to, rectify what we have for you guys to learn one day, and so that you can teach it. And whenever I give kids that sensibility to it, like, oh, he expects, have a great feel whenever I maybe become a coach or a teacher one day, that like, I'm like, oh, well, this coach showed me how to do this a long time ago. And so if I can give kids that little perspective into it, the fact that they have ownership in what they're learning, I feel that they just kind of take it a little bit more to heart. So
no, that's really good. I think a lot of times too, you sort of in education specifically in this instance, but in many other aspects, like even the education that Collin's doing for business stuff, like having a reason right behind what you're doing, like it just makes so much sense, right? Like I think about that too in the classroom. Like I always want to have an answer for that kid that's going to be like, why are we doing this? Why do I need to know this? Right? Because in my opinion, like, oh, because it's on the test, or like because the state says so, is not an appropriate answer. Because a 12-year-old does not care. I mean, let's be frank, I don't care about that, right? So having a legitimate reason, like behind, like being intentional about it,
sure, and
like saying, oh yeah, well, this is, these are reasons, this is how this is important, this is how it ties to other things, or this is how it can be useful in this class and this is a skill that can transfer to other classes to help you do other things, right? Like those kind of answers, when you give them, they're like, okay, cool. Like they accept it and they're like ready, and it makes sense to them, because if you're just like, because we have to, yeah, no, try telling that to a 12-year-old. Nothing.
Right.
You get nothing.
Not going to work. Yeah, not going to work.
Yeah. But I think, that's really good, kind of philosophy behind it, is being intentional and having the reason and having the knowledge yourself to be able to tell them that, right? Like, because if you were like, you got to drag the field left to right, I'd be like, what? Yeah. But if you're like, oh, because it evens out the dirt because we have a low spot here, I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Let's go. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that makes so much sense. Having the understanding and being able to understand it is just like, oh, okay. And then you just buy in more and you're ready to do more of it, instead of just being like, well, I got to do just whatever he said because I don't, right. You know what I mean? Like, that's really cool. I like it.
are you finding that you are getting good reception of that Airman?
Yeah. There was a lot to kind of, I don't say not like break in, but a lot of those kids that are like, so it's kind of a weird thing to look at, like kind of species of between like my baseball boys and like my softball girls. Like I had a lot of those, baseball boys, baseball guys that were just like, oh, coach, I can do this, and and then you get up there and do it, and you're like, that's wrong. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, no, that's wrong. Like, and then you show them why, and then like, having kind of like pull them into it. They're like, oh yeah, we know how to do this. I'm like, do you? And then it's like, this is why we do it this way. And they're like, oh, okay. With my softball girls, it was a little bit different because like I just like started setting up the tractor, and they were just congregated around me. They're like, sure. What are you doing? I was like, doing stuff. They're like, can we help? And I was like, you most certainly can, because whenever we have games, you're gonna have to be doing this by yourself. And so just the fact that I didn't have to like pull teeth or get kid like find a way to get kids interested. They were automatically like interested themselves, because like our last coach like never did anything like this before. Like they never showed you how to drag a field, and they're like, nope. They just kind of told us to leave, and that was the end of it. And I was like, oh man. So it's kind of cool to like to watch kids like get fascinated with it. They're like, oh, this is how we do it. I'm like, yeah, no, it's kind of cool. So the fact that I don't have to like sell it to them, is kind of neat. And so I kind of get a kick out of that more than anything, of like that they themselves like make it interesting, and then they just like utilize me to kind of help with what they can. So that's kind of how I see it, and it's just unique to watch them grow. And the next time or a week later, it's like, oh, hey coach, do we need to drag the field this way? It's like, let's build on top of that. And I was like, yeah, we do need to build drag it this way, but let's also do it this. And can you think of reasons why from what we learned from this last week? They're like, oh, because it does this. I'm like, exactly. So the fact that they're all they're bought into it, without me having to like pull teeth, that they're naturally interested, is kind of cool. And it also kind of shows how deprived they were of like the resources and tools and cool things like that, from previous coaches is kind of heartbreaking. But at the same time, like it just makes me look like really awesome. Like, well, yeah, I know I'm it's crazy. So that's kind of neat, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, no, this is how you do this. And they're like, that's so cool. And I'm like, I know. That's like what I do. But yeah, that's how we've been working on at least here lately.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Yeah. I mean, but that's cool that you can be that example, and again, I mean, influence, again, because if you've never experienced that in your life, the first time someone comes along and, like you guys have been saying, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, like, it really does start opening up a lot more in your own life when you're like, oh, look, there are reasons for why we do things. Hooray.
Yeah, that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I like it. Nice done. Now, if only I could figure out how to apply that to actually writing complete sentences in your answer to about 5 of my children. That would be great.
Not going to be an option.
Yeah, still working on that one. But it's, again, overall, like, we've been talking about that a lot too. That particular battle. They did better on the quiz today. I saw much more beautiful answers. Right. Once they realized that I actually talked to the language arts teacher and we talk about this stuff and I expect the same thing that she does, they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
Got it.
Sorry, guys.
I was like, guys, would this sentence make her happy? And they're like, no. Got it.
Matter of fact, it made her very angry.
Yeah. I was like, we don't have to do it like to the exact. I'm not going to be grading you to like the exacting degree that she does. Right. But I am going to be looking for some of the similar things, and I want to make sure that we have these in there. So they're looking better. It's doing good. We're progressing. We're getting better at this.
Getting better all the time.
Hopefully. But, it's all good.
Well, it's good. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back in the swing of things. Glad you guys have a good week.
Yes. We'll just keep an eye on the weather.
Yeah. Eye on the weather. Eye on the sky.
Yes.
I am going to go let out an old dog.
All right.
To go for their last visit.
Okay. Well, don't stay outside too long because it's freezing. So
I know. And
layers, bundle, hat, right?
There's so many things we'll talk offline.
Okay.
Good stuff. Okay. I love you guys very much, and
love you too.
Hopefully this is good too.
Oh yeah.
Love you.
Love you guys. Bye.
Love you too.